sit down with you guys, obviously, for a number of reasons. One, Brian, you've built an amazing company that has obviously been turning heads for a little bit now.
Thank you.
And we've been paying close attention, obviously, as a media company, as people that love the hobby. But I think one thing that we've noticed, and I was talking to Clint about this the other day, was the fact that it's an interesting, I won't call it juxtaposition, but it's an interesting concept. The fact that you're marrying tech, right, with something that's so old school and tangible and physical. And we're getting into this technology now that's kind of crossing over between the physical, which is very emotional, and the tech, which kind of, is more not quite as hands-on and maybe not as much emotion behind it. And then you've got Clint, who is still very physical with his products and, putting slabs in them and the emotion of, I got 100 slabs in a case. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit just about how you think the future of the hobby is going to play out here, right? How do you believe tech's, or what, I guess, what role do you think tech's going to play in the future of the hobby? And how are we going to keep the physical in play when the tech starts to begin to take over? Clint, Brian?
I mean, look,
it's not a loaded question at all.
No, I mean, as a collector that got back into this industry in 2012, there was no tech in 2012. Very old school. I tell people all the time, first show I ever attended, I was probably the youngest person there at about 3 years old, which was a little eye-opening for me. I remember thinking, it was Chicago here at this venue. I remember thinking, I'm not really sure if this is the industry I really want to be in, didn't really know what to expect, kind of walking around. A lot of people were not very pleasant, a little on the older end. And so I'm thinking, man, I don't even know what I'm going to do here essentially moving forward. But, it's a passion. So it was something that I enjoyed doing still, and obviously kept doing it amongst my friends and peers. So a lot of people surrounding me weren't in the older age, but as you start getting into the business model of things, becoming a breaker in 2013 and, seeing ears on invoices still when I was working for corporate companies, and I'm going, what is going, like, this industry is so old and dated. I don't even know what the heck is going on essentially.
Yeah. But you actually told me the story at one point of somebody sent you an invoice and you called and asked how you could pay. And they said, well, you got to send a check.
Yeah.
Like, we don't take.
There's no electronic payments, and that's fine. Look, hey, at the end of the day, everybody's, got their way of running a business, but coming from a large company in Nestle where I was in corporate with them and everything was electronic, everything was high, literally cutting edge, to come into this industry. And it's like, I only take cash, or just write me a check, or, and don't, write it out to anything specific. It's like, well, what am I buying exactly? I don't really know. How can I run a business when I'm giving out, cash
Right.
and things like that? But then to see it kind of full circle, now we're in this age, almost 10 years later from when I started back getting really heavily into it. Now we see it's all tech for the most part. And we've got a little mix of both. I mean, the tech, I think, is inevitable. It's the future. There's nothing that we can get away with, getting by with not having it ingrained into our hobby. And then entering what you guys bring is essentially, that aspect is huge.
Yeah.
I mean,
For sure. I mean, it's interesting when you look at certain industries and you look at Uber and how they, transformed the taxi, and Netflix, who tried to sell to Blockbuster for 50 million, and now they're worth, $1 trillion.
Yeah, Blockbuster turn their nose up to it. So we're going to try this ourselves.
No, we're good. That's not going to work. Tech's not going to work. We're good. But I think the industry itself is going to change a lot. I'm excited about Fanatics, cautiously excited, because I think they're going to bring a different dimension to these shows, and a different dimension of pushing this towards where the tech and the new generation of collectors. I mean, when you come down to it, if we could fill the bottom with younger kids and get them in and give them knowledge and give them power and give them confidence, this industry will continue to grow, which will help every single person out there and us here.
Yeah.
And I think if we do it together and lean into the tech revolution in the hobby, I think it could really could scale and build this industry even bigger.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure. And you brought up another great point, Brian, that generationally, like, a lot of this hobby is passed down from generation to generation. I mean, I got my dad's baseball card collection, right? And that's what got me interested. And so you see that a lot. And so when you look at these younger kids coming in, they're not going to do things the way that we're used to doing things, right? They're going to have certain expectations when it comes to tech and the way things are done and the way we interact or engage with them. So in terms of what you've built, obviously, what is your plan to try to bring that younger generation in? I'm sure you guys have talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, the younger generation by far are the first adapters. I mean, they're so used to having information at their fingertips. And so they get it and it kind of goes up, right? And then they show their dad or uncle or grandpa or mom, whatever. And so the population is really advocating for the future of the tech in this industry. So I think, you know, if it gets down to a point where, you know, tech could be a bad thing too, you know, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that will not embrace it. But as a whole, I think it's the right move and the right place to go.
Yeah. And Clint, you've been a huge advocate of like educating the younger generation. You give away all kinds of products and cases and stuff when you're at these shows. Like what role does the next generation play in making sure this hobby is successful years to come?
I mean, if we don't have them, we don't have a hobby. So,
That's a good answer.
I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you go to these shows and the way I looked at it is I wanted to make sure, especially kids in this industry, didn't get the treatment that I got when I first came back in 2012. It didn't hurt my feelings in a sense, but it was like, you know, I'm going to be very welcoming to these guys. I want to make sure they feel like they're in it. You know, hand them out a free case or, hey, you know, go over here. This dude's going to get you a pack, whatever the case may be there. But yeah, I mean, you know, thinking of going into the tech side, kind of like what you were even talking to. I mean, we come from the age of where Beckett, you know, that was our tech, that was our our information. So when you go from that to now being able to at your fingertips be able to scrolling through here, bam, you got a comp or a price, or you can list your cars now in a push of a button on eBay. You know, which you're launching that piece is a massive, you know, step compared to where we've been, because it used to be like, okay, this King Griffey's worth 43 cents. I can take it to the show. I got 4 of them. I'm going to be able to, you know, get $1 such, and I can maybe trade this into this. So there's all these different facets. The industry's obviously grown into a whole different stage of collecting.
Yeah.
I mean, prices are crazy. You got to be pretty. I mean, when you're dealing with now hundreds, $1,000 cards, multi-$1,000 cards, tech and all that data and all those analytics of being able to have that in one source, essentially like you guys have. I mean, that's huge, because then you can have a price. You're not dealing with 43 cents anymore. Yeah. We're dealing with, you know, massive potential on cards and game changer money. I mean, entrepreneurial wise, how many, you know, business owners has this industry created in the last 3 to 5 years? Massive. It's unreal. I mean, and they're all, you know, learning, figuring it out like we all had to as well. And so it's kind of fun. You know, back in the day, a 43 cent card didn't get you very far.
Right.
Now, when you're selling a couple hundred, you can double up, grade, you know, flip, go trade. I mean, you can turn a show into making some massive potential for your business and what you're doing, card wise, product wise, whatever it may be. So
yeah. Now you brought up the eBay tool, and I mentioned to talk about that. So we'll get there.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah.
No, but and I want to hear Brian, and we're actually going to show an example of it because it's pretty incredible what you guys have built. So we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But so first, I want to talk about the hobby as a whole and what you guys have built as entrepreneurs, because I think this is important. You see a lot of different companies popping up in the hobby, you know, and some are here today, gone tomorrow. You see that a lot, but there's some that stick around. And I think there's a couple reasons that happens. One is because they have a vision for what they want to build. And then 2, they have the longevity and stickiness to just see it through all the junk, right? Yep. Of being an entrepreneur and building a business. So talk to me about, you guys have 2 very different models, right? Clint is very bootstrapped from the ground up, do everything, you know, as quickly as possible. He moves fast. He is funded himself. And you took it, you know, kind of an opposite direction and worked just as hard, but it was completely different, right? So talk a little bit about that, because I think that's something that's interesting, that you guys are on very similar paths, but built something, 2 very different products and very different ways. So tell me a little bit about how you got started and what, like, where did like this idea even come about for you?
Yeah. So it was during COVID, and I was with my son, Nick, and we were quarantining for 30 days. And
That's where all the good ideas come
yeah,
from.
I mean, what else are you gonna do? So we started looking through my cards. We bought a new pack, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And it was I don't even know, purple laser. And so I said, well, Nick, let's look and try to find out if this is a valuable card. And so I go onto eBay and we're Googling it, and the fun factor is just, is crashing,
Yeah.
and the frustration's going this way. So I said, give me a couple days. We'll find out what else is out there, because this is caught way back there. Like this, there's got to be a better way. And so I did my due diligence. And I kept looking, and there's nothing out there. And I said, wow, could be an amazing opportunity to invent something that has never happened before.
Yeah.
And all industries run parallel to themselves. Like when there's a introduction of tech, it's always the same cadence. It's there, and then it's adapted, and then adopted, and then it's real.
Yeah.
And so using that kind of frame of mind, I got support from my wife, Heather, and I got the money to raise.
Okay, yeah.
And I decided I was going to be that person that was going to change the industry. And it took tons of risks, just like Clint's company. The commonality is entrepreneurials. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You have to embrace fear, and you have to have courage, because 1,000 times they're going to come to you and it's going to be a gut punch.
Yep.
And you got to get back up. And that's why how I do it, surround myself with great teammates, great partners. Therefore, the load is divided when the difficulties are divided and the joys are multiplied.
Yeah.
And so that's really how I got through it. Just a lot of the guys you see walk around here at the Ludex shirts. So that was kind of the origin story of it.
Yeah.
And it's a much longer story, but that's good.
Sure,
for now.
yeah. So how long did it take you guys to actually come to market with something that you felt good about?
So we did, when we trained base cards, it took us about 9 months and to get base cards.
Yeah.
And then the parallels were just a massive lift. And we had to take pictures of cards. We had to build our own database. And that took about another year and a half. So I would say the first time when I think Ludex had value above just information was probably around January this year.
Yeah.
And now every piece of tech that we bring into it is a revenue generator. So the eBay connector that you see, the social sharing that we're going to have, the QR codes for shows, everything, the interactive map that we made.
Yeah.
So it really is finally coming to a place where I think the value is there for the collector, the industry, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, we're excited too, especially about the eBay tool. So Clint, you've obviously, Brian, raised money and is in the tech side. You bootstrapped, you're on the product side. Like, talk a little bit about how you got started and where you saw the need, because you started before cases. You were even building displays and things like that. So
I was gonna say, you were my you built my first website.
Yeah, and that was back in
sports display
a long time ago.
Yeah, literally using
Pioneer too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I love working different kind of wood structures, building certain things, and so I thought I'll just build some displays that were kind of cool and throw some cool vinyls on there. And with I got up to 150 on back order, and I'm like, this was supposed to be just a little passion project for me on the side, because I enjoyed it. Now I won't touch anything like that again. I just can't, because I'd work 70 hours a week at my normal job, and then come home and my wife's going, "What are you doing in the garage?" I'm like, "I'm building this display for this guy that I'm trying to build," and she just did not get it. And I kind of started to get to that point too. So simultaneously breaking at the time, there wasn't a lot of breakers around in 2012 to 17. It's obviously just a major piece of the business now, or the industry. So. But as a breaker, I get an allocation from a distributor in Chicago. I started a brake company, and we're starting to roll, and I'm doing displays on the side. But it got to where, you get 150 on back order, and it's like, I'm not even going to be able to do this, So what are some alternative kind of products out there, things like that? I start doing some R&D on storage and where I can basically build this. Took 8 months, about 22 samples later, I come out with my first case. ordered 150 of them, and I thought, we'll just see what happens. And I sold out before they even showed up. And I thought, okay, this might be
this
something.
could work. Yeah,
This could work. So I thought, I'm gonna order more, and I'm gonna go set up in Chicago. I was selling them on Facebook and just some closed groups, and then attended my first show in 2016 here at this venue. Set up in 3 days, didn't sell one case.
Wow.
Not one. Went home, told my wife I'm not
Ouch.
sure. I know. I actually, the funniest thing that I kind of got scoffed at even quite a bit, as a lot of people were walking by, like, what is this?
that's never going to work.
This is my cardboard. This is what I put it in. And it's like, okay, hey, look, I'm just offering an option, Took 3 shows. The second show, I sold 3. The third show, it was going to be my make or break show. I kind of told my wife, I'm not really sure if I'll do shows ever again. And so third show, I ended up coming in, and I walked away with about 30, I think it was 38 or 37. I sold that one. And I thought, okay, maybe this isn't all dead yet. Let's see where it goes. And then, I had a job to supplement income. So for me, all my bills were essentially paid for. This was just a passion project. So I kept my job up until about 3 years ago, actually, just to make sure we were good to go. And then, did some consulting things on the side over the last couple of years, just to kind of supplement income as I still grew Zion, but essentially just rolled all of that money, didn't spend any of it, just keep reinvesting and reinvesting to make sure I owned 100% of the business. That was always not necessarily had to be a key for me. I was willing to work with maybe some people that were interested as well, but this is just how the path kind of led us to here at this time. It's a business that we've sold almost 70,000 units now in the past 7 years.
That's awesome.
And seeing it kind of do its thing and being able to go to the shows, like out there, I think they've already sold 400 so far in the first day and a half. Of the show.
It's amazing to walk around a show that, this is the show, obviously, right?
This is it.
And just to see the thousands of Zion cases walking around.
100%.
I just saw 3 of them just walk right past.
Yeah.
So it's
It's awesome.
That's got to be a great feeling. You know what I mean?
Oh no, it's awesome.
Whereas
it's great advertising.
Brian's walking by and saying, "Can I check your phone real quick? I just want to see."
Yeah. What's on your What's on your phone?
Yeah, what's on your phone? I just take it out of their pocket and start downloading it.
Yeah. So it's really cool what you guys are doing, and I love. Like I said, I've been in and around the hobby for a long time from a collector standpoint, but just the last few years, I've really started going to the shows because my agency's been helping Clint with marketing and things like that. And it's just been so cool to see the different avenues of entrepreneurship pop up and what they're building and how it's structured. And there's so many different styles of leadership and entrepreneurs. And I don't know, there's something to be said about all those different types of entrepreneurs that do things different ways. And I think it's cool you guys sitting here. You've both built something really cool, done it in completely different ways, and it's worked. I think that's a testament to you guys, just overall.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I like to call it
appreciate
stickiness, but that's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one thing, I think some people that are kind of newer entrepreneurs, and I feel like I still got a ton to learn. I'm nobody that's in any way, shape, or form feeling like I'm there, but I know that I've been through a lot in the last 7 years, and I do know that consistency and being able to literally, get up after you get blown down a few times is key, because you can get kind of lost in your mud puddle essentially and be very down on yourself or things like that. But positivity and consistency in a lot of ways literally just drives you through. A lot of people are always like, Clint, you're everywhere. And I'm like, I know. That's what that was always basically my mission statement in my head. I'm everywhere, essentially, that you're gonna find me at shows, you're gonna find me online, digital. It is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say, okay, so you bootstrap things, right? And you've got all these hurdles you've had to figure out how to overcome. When you hear somebody that has raised money, everybody thinks it's rainbows and butterflies because you got all this money, right? It's like
got
a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, right.
But it's a different type. It's just
that's a pressure.
You got
I'm
the
not
hurdles.
sure I want.
Yeah.
No, man.
It's just different hurdles, right?
It's a different.
It's
it's a totally different.
Different pressure, different hills to climb.
Yeah.
Different problems to solve. So.
What's interesting about, I was just talking about entrepreneurship. Every single person in this room is an entrepreneur in their own way, right?
Yeah,
everyone has their collection. Everyone knows what their agenda is. They're running this little business that's themselves. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about the hobby. It's like, this is a great learning tool to build business.
Absolutely.
Because you have to communicate, you have to do your research, You have to have a plan. You got to stick to it. So I look around here, and every single person is an entrepreneur, and that's why this industry is so great. I love it because it is about people thinking, and I love that.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be great. I mean, think of all the lessons these kids are learning now.
Yeah.
They got to know their inventory. They got to know the prices of what they got in their Zion case.
Like you said, your boys are coming back crying and coming back happy. Their emotions are
emotional
all over.
roller coaster.
It's like, get ready. Get ready in about 5-10 years or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about this eBay integration because this is really, really cool. So real quick before you do this, I want to, if everybody could just point your attention towards the stage real quick. We have a quick question we want to ask everybody. So how many in this room have in the past 6 months used some sort of tech, like a scanner app or tech or something like that, in and around your collection or your hobby? Just a show of hands. Have you used tech in some way? Okay. How many in the room have not used tech in any way in or around their collection in the last 6 months?
You got it.
All right. So, I mean, it is pretty interesting, right?
Yeah.
So it's a mixed bag. And I think the cool thing is like both work.
Yep.
And, Clint and I were talking about this yesterday. He's more of a traditional collector. He likes the physical. You've got the younger generation that likes that tech and likes to document stuff.
I like
and
tech. I'm good with
Don't
that.
lie, Clint. I've seen you on your phone. No, I'm just kidding. But it's and I think that's going to continue.
Yeah.
Because I think there will be a shift eventually, and you'll see some of this younger generation start to, they're just so used to tech. I think there might be a small step backwards at some point where they're going to want more physical, but tech's never going to go away for them, right?
Never.
For me, it takes me about 2.5 to 3 minutes to put a card out there. And we're going to show you how you can do it with Ludex. This is coming out August 15th to paid members of Ludex. It's $10 a month. You get in the queue, and that's how we're going to roll it out. We're going to roll it out to the paid, and then we're going to roll it out to the rest of the Ludex users. So if you see up here, you can see on the screen, scan the card, and it says sell item. So you hit the sell item button, and it brings up the specifics from your eBay account. Once you get the eBay account, you can do auction or buy it now. You put in the price of your card. There's some shipping preferences. You got to put your location, your zip code, and you hit review. So once that reviewed, it populates the final listing on Ludex to be sent to eBay. So on the bottom, you're going to see a button that says publish on eBay. There's a legal document, but now it's on eBay. That's how fast it is to get a card monetized on eBay. So you can open a pack, you can scan a card, and you get it on eBay that fast. And there's a listing on eBay. So that technology is coming out August 15th. So if you're on Ludex and you have a paid member, we're going to roll it out. It's going to take about 2 or 3 weeks to roll it out. But that's a new technology, and any of you guys that use it, please give us feedback, give us reviews. We love 5 stars, and we love people who tell good things on social media. So, guys, thank you so much for being here, and enjoy the VIP.